Are we good?
Yes.
Good. Hello. How we doing? We finally figured it out. It's taken long enough. But hopefully, it all being well, you can see me and hear me in real time on a live stream and also hear the drum kit. If you can't, I can't make any promises that I won't cry on our first live stream. But we're living the best life. We're doing well. Like I said, I hope you're having a better day than I am. Chris, how we doing? You good?
It seems like we're streaming. Yep, so I'm good. Let's just...
Crikey.
Here, you play some drums, Emma. Let's go for it.
One thing we didn't think through is how we're going to see the comments.
I'm WhatsApping Bex right now.
I'm not warmed up. This is not. I did pick something complicated though. On your end.
Huh? Oh, good mind.
Okay.
You got any comments yet, Ben?
One thing I didn't check. I might have to show my OBS. But you're going to cope with it, so that's alright. That's better, right. Let's actually record. That's probably a good idea, isn't it?
That would be a good idea, yeah.
How many people have we got in the live?
Not sure. Bex? There's 25 on my screen.
Okay.
35 now. Bex, you can just talk, just say the comments. There's nothing coming through on the chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been putting everything in there.
I can see. My favourite acoustic. It's my favourite acoustic
you
kit.
You might be putting them straight to Emma.
Oh yeah.
Basically, the question is, what's my favourite acoustic kit? I play a Tama Star Classic, and I only play it because when I went to the drum shop, I didn't know what I wanted, and it was between like a mid-range, like Mapex, I think. I don't even remember now. And then there was this Tama Star Classic that was like thousands of pounds, and I was like, you know what? Let's go all in. Let's go all in. Because I managed to save some money while I was at uni to buy specifically a drum kit. So I haven't played enough acoustic kits to have any favourites, but I just have developed a love for Tama for that reason, because it was just the one I bought. I also liked Tama because we had loads of them at ACM, so that's why I kind of thought about Tama in the first place. But yeah, I've spent most of my life on electrics, so I'm not exactly a gearhead either. So if I'm usually just like, if it sounds like drums, that's probably all right. But you can definitely tell the difference when you jump up from like mid-range to high-end kits. It does have a serious like leap. I don't know if you've noticed that, Chris. I think it's more the hardware as well. It all gets heavier. In fact, the more expensive you get, the heavier these drum kits get. That's what I find.
Also, I think with different kits, that they stay in tune better, especially when the weather changes.
Yes,
so,
I
constantly go out of tune, and that's really annoying.
I literally, with my Tama Star Classic, I would go a very, very long time without retuning them, because Ryan, the lovely Ryan, who is the producer of our band, he would tune them because he loves tuning drums and I don't. And literally I wouldn't touch them until the next recording session and they'd still be great. And I'm talking months, if not potentially years. I might tweak them occasionally, but like they're honestly fine. And it's pretty impressive, even when the heads have been reasonably beat up too. So it's, yeah, that's the difference, I think.
How new do you like your heads to be?
I'm not fussy.
Yeah,
not really. Apart from if we go to like, when you get to gigs and it looks like, you know, I don't know, it's been bombed
video
or something.
Where there's a hole.
Jesus, that was the worst drum kit I think I've ever played. I think that takes the biscuit. I think that was the one. Hang on, I'm just going to try and see what other stuff we've got coming through because I haven't got the chat open. Because I'm screen recording, it will all come up actually.
Someone's asking about. I'll just give you the questions. It's fine.
Thank you.
Someone's asking about the best kit setup. So.
Oof. Well, in
up,
terms
2 down,
of
3 up, 2 down.
I think I'd play 1 up, 2 down, but I just haven't got an extra pad. Right now it's being used as a laptop stand. I think actually the only reason I have a mid-tom here is because I had to do like the come together video and I needed a mid-tom for it and then it just moved. Otherwise I'd have 2 floor toms. But I think had I not had like, you know, the module and a lack of space to put it anywhere else, I would have probably had a floor tom here, I suspect, as well, instead of having to think. Also, thank you to whoever has sent a super chat.
Back travelling drummer.
Back travelling?
Bat, like PH.
Bat travelling.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about this person? 2 important things, clearly. Well, either way, thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. I don't know why I've even got this out because I'm not doing anything to do with that.
Yeah, I think like with when you're playing a lot of rock stuff as well, right? It's nice to have that ride or crash ride just there. And if you have a mid-tom, that gets really in the way of that. So a lot of the stuff that you play, that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. For sure, definitely. And when you're doing like function gigs and stuff, you don't need a mid-tom. I barely play a mid-tom, even though I've got a mid-tom. I've just never been one to really utilise it. I'd rather it was a ride cymbal. And maybe that's also because I'm just used to a lack of space as well, and I have everything really low too. Do I prefer the F note or the V drums? I would like to, before I make a proper judgment on that, I want to try some newer V drum, like especially Roland stuff, because this is however many years old. So I feel like I'm not quite up to date enough with everything to give a proper opinion. But I do really like the F note kit. I really like the cymbals. Like the F note's got the cymbals really good.
On the high end kits, they've got the kick drum is really good that we tried at NAMM as well, right? Like it felt like playing closer to a real kit, feeling wise, in terms of how those cymbals responded and how it was. I know you have your like the snare drum. You're still kind of tweaking that setup on the F note, whereas you've got the one that you used on the V drum that you prefer the snare response, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's the difference between like this has a pad sound, then you can hear the edge.
Yeah.
So it's that difference that to me just makes a whole lot of difference to the overall everything. Really, I haven't really put the hi-hat through its paces either, because I think there's a big struggle for electronic drums and open hi-hats and trying to get that sounding responsive like a real cymbal, because it must be really difficult on a engineering front to like get the 2 cymbal thing happening and have it trashy. Trying to get a trashy hat consistently on electric kit is the bane of my existence. I think that's, and especially if you go into cheaper kits too. Oh my god, forget about it. Forget about it.
And the nuance is tricky. Yeah,
for sure, definitely.
That's something for me that when we played those F note kits, I felt like that was the best one that I tried on the hi-hats front. Like you could
the cymbals are really good.
Lead it up and it responded like a hi-hat, and even in different places that you hit the cymbal. And for me, somehow as well, it's the way that they've balanced the cymbals. When you hit them, they move like a cymbal. Whereas the pads on most other electric kits just stay there solid, and they don't it just doesn't feel like a cymbal at all to play on.
Someone's just asked for a blast beat.
Go for it.
Am I right in thinking that quite simply it's single strokes between a ride cymbal, whatever, and a snare drum, and then you're just playing really fast bass drums? Is that what that is? Yeah. That shebang, right? Is the bass drum supposed to be on all the right hands, or is it just... Either way, that's as close as I'm going to get. Have you ever had to play blast beats for anything? No. Both of us are uneducated
metal,
swines.
Heavier.
No,
that's
no.
Out of my remit. Somebody's just asked about starting from zero playlists. We have the New Drummers Toolkit playlist, but it doesn't necessarily start from zero. It does, but probably the order that you might jump in things is a bit everywhere. So what
it used to be in order.
Yeah, it used to be in order, and then over different platforms it's moved around everywhere. But what Emma's done is actually put all of those video lessons from that into an ebook called the New Drummers Toolkit on the website. So if you go and download that does start from holding the sticks, setting up the drum kit, and it just links to all the different YouTube or TikTok videos depending on whichever platform we
or actually here on YouTube, we have the 40 video compilation thing.
Yes.
Which doesn't, because I did that when I did most of the videos for it. It's missing some.
Videos.
Some, just some. But the core videos are in there, and then you can download the ebook, which is more updated.
I'll try and find that link. I'll put that in the thing now. I try and find the 40 lesson one because that's really useful. But yeah, the actual book is in the just in the link in the bio. So. Cool. Okay. So I was thinking, Emma, it would be really good. Obviously, we were going to do these live streams. This was our podcast that we were doing, and we felt like having an interactive level would be something good. So
yes,
I don't know whether how easy it is for you to change the text that you had or not to reflect this.
No.
If not, don't worry. So we're going to talk about coordination today and how to develop coordination. And when we tried to do this on the podcast without a drum kit, it was a very difficult thing to explain because there was no visuals to this. So today we'll be doing this, and then actually there will be a download where you can actually run through these exercises afterwards that will be available. And we just wanted to look at some different coordinational exercises to help develop mostly the bass drum, I think, today, just getting the coordination of being able to play different bass drum patterns, right? So I don't know if you want to kind of kick off with that, Emma, and just explain, and I can chip in wherever.
Are we talking about kick drum technique?
I'm talking about coordination. So for example, let's take a standard ostinato on the hi-hat, 8th notes, 2 and 4 on the snare, standard backbeat, and then run through different coordination, subdivisions of things. So the 1, the E, the and, the that type of thing. And we can actually give a full PDF afterwards that will kind of follow up.
So this is like an exercise you can kind of place on everything. It's basically moving the bass drum through the bar because it gives you all your options for 16th note placement, which means when you come across it in the wild, in real music, it doesn't feel as alien. So this is kind of the most streamlined way of making your bass drum feel more settled, kind of putting it wherever you want. So like Chris said, it's just 8th note hands, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you're going to want to take this much slower because you're trying to program your brain. It's not about it sounding like a groove and something you can kind of feel into initially. You want to just get the placement sounding clean. So starting on, we'll go 1 and 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and We then want to move the bass drum forward a 16th note. If you're a brand new drummer, I'd do the ands. So instead of E and don't worry about those, just do and. So 1, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. I realise I'm demonstrating this like it's more of a groove. Ideally, you want to be playing every beat. So you'd get, again, if we use and as an example, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So you're maintaining 2 and 4 on the snare drum. The reason I say beginners do the downbeat and then also the and, it's much easier than trying to get your bass drum in between your hi-hats. That's what I'm about to talk about right now. So, back to the beginning. You do a bar of on the beat, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the E. So this is going to fall in between your hi-hats. 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. This is the kind of exercise as well that helps to have a visual element, and we are going to have a visual, like, there's going to be a... Can people download the exercise after this?
Yeah.
Not
so
instantly.
I think what we're doing for the future ones, I've just noted down future ones will have the exercise actually up on the screen. So as you're going through it, you can pop that up on OBS and people can see it.
All right.
But we'll add this, what Emma's doing later on, just go click through on the link and it will be on there, and then we will add this in at a later date today.
Okay, so back to the task at hand. So you've gone through and done E. E is usually the tricky one. Is a little easier because you've got a bit more time to think about it, but E is the one that trips people up, which is why I say take it really, really slowly, get the mechanical side of it down, and count out loud as well, because it will just help everything. It might feel awkward at first, but it just will, categorically. So you have a bar of that. 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. Move on to the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then you get to the 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. And when it loops round, I keep getting really poppy.
Yeah, the
summing.
click is happening. Yeah.
We'll figure that out in a moment. But you get 2 bass drums essentially, one on the and then one on the and. And what you want to be able to do is loop the whole thing, so you end up with, what is that, 4 bars long essentially, and that will give you all the placements you need. You can then start to change patterns and move things about and come up with your own patterns, but that just gives you all your options in a very short space of time. A different variation of basically the same exercise is to play a bar of all your 1 and ands, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then all your E's and U's. I'm going to, again, play it a little bit quicker than you'd want to practice it, but 1 E and 2 E and E, 4 E, 1 and 2, and so on and so forth. Because that's just another option, but it means you're using your offbeats and onbeats in a kind of closer knit situation. Especially the E's and U's one, that's a good one for testing your timing. So yeah, that's an exercise I think I give literally everybody. I think Chris will probably say the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. And this is like just a very quick top level overall explanation. We'll put the PDF in the link at some point today. So this is the 19th of March 2024. We'll make sure that's in by the end of the day, so people can go and look at that. So they've got something to visually see with that.
Just gonna see
and obviously you can keep going further and further with this, right? So if people want to take it further, you can start to add in the stepped hi-hat on the left hand. You can start to, instead of just playing on the hi-hat, you could play on the ride. You can do different, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a din, 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 all of those kind of things. So we will put the most simple exercise there for people who want to take this further. There are other things that you can message us about, and we can send you further information, but that's too difficult to do on a live stream with too many different people in. So we've got a few other questions coming up here. Someone's asking about, they're working on their ruffles and their drags, and they just want to have some tips. This is from Chris.
So ruffs and drags are kind of 2 different animals, I think. If we're thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, ruffs is like, right, that's single stroke, like right.
Well,
left, right.
I think a single, I think even in itself, I'm going to move this down just so people can see on the live stream. A single rough is right, left, right. That's just a single rough, right? But there's different types of roughs and drags in itself anyway, right? So so a drag generally being 2 small hits on one hand and then the main one, and then vice versa. Yeah, then people do what I refer to as like a buzz drag, which is buzzing it like a press roll, which you've done a video on fairly recently, Emma. But let's go with the doubles and specifically the drags and getting the 2 ghost note hits close together fast. I think we can focus on that, Emma, because that's generally really useful for that. So like,
I'm just very quickly making sure that we've got the right sticking for a drag, because I could for a rough, sorry, because roughs to me are like a burst of single strokes. When I did them in my grades, we had to do alternating roughs with singles. But obviously you can just do the same rhythmic pattern, like a right, left, right.
Which exam did you do, interestingly, Emma?
Which grade?
Which, like you said in your grades.
I did Trinity Guildhall.
Yeah. So these guys, I think something to bear in mind as well. Like we actually love to learn drums. We focus less on getting really technical with things, and like we were talking earlier, like Fatima Q's, all these kind of things. That's great, and that's very traditional. But both me and Emma don't know the 40 rudiments perfectly down, off, and being able to play any of them, right? And I'm not saying that there's no merit in having those. There absolutely is. But I think it's more about looking at being able to teach yourself to be able to learn these different things when you watch a YouTube video or whatever it might be, right? So let's just break down the technique rather than get into the pedantics of a rough or this or that, a single rough, all these different things. I think what's useful here for somebody trying to improve their drags and roughs in different variations, obviously you're talking about singles there, is getting the double stroke. The quick double stroke that is quiet. So that's difficult. So let's focus on that.
The way I personally developed that is just, I was playing by myself when I was younger, and I wanted to be able to play triplets actually. So just being able to go right, left instead. Because instead of doing the alternate sticking, because when you're teaching yourself, that makes no bloody sense. Why would you do that? When you could just go right, left, right, left. You have the right hand remains leading. It's easier. So that helped me develop that. And all it really is a drop. It's not a press, because most people make that mistake. Because they're trying to press the notes out. Because you're told, okay, I need to relax and put pressure into the drum. But it's not very clean. Essentially, you want the stick to do the work for you. Don't be afraid to let the stick bounce and have height. That's the issue usually that stunts people's doubles, is that they get the note, they're loose, but they don't let it come up enough to get the second note.
Second note, yeah.
The second note. You could talk about finger engagement, but when I'm... Honestly, you don't even need finger engagement for that. Like, that's just with the fulcrum grip right there, and you can get that reasonably clean. And all you have to do then, is move out the triplet, is just extend that gap between the single and the double. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I kind of think of it. You could get more technical and really make sure you're engaging your fingers if you want, but because they're 2 very short and quiet notes, it's a little bit easier to get those, I'd say, personally. But that's just from the experience I've had, because I started, like, that was one of the first things I started to do for myself. So it took a while to develop that, so it's hard to say how long that'll take for other people, but that's kind of the route I took with it anyway. And what you'd want to do is to be able to do it in both hands as well. Obviously I started with just right, left, because you can use that in fills and all sorts of stuff. You know, right hand leading is way easier, but make sure you go so left, right, left, have the alternating, both hands basically feeling about the same.
When you go to practice that, the Emma just said there, so when you're going from, I'm just playing this super slow, but left, left, right, and then to right, right, left, one of the things to do is make sure that the hands are anticipating the note that's going to happen.
Yes.
Right? So if you're going to go left, left, right, as you come down with that right, come up with your left, ready to go right, right, left, and then again up with your right. And what I would suggest to do is put a metronome on at somewhere around 60 beats per minute.
Yeah.
And don't even worry about the subdivision of the double for a minute, okay? And just get that to be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4. Making sure that you get that main note on the beat of 1. And that gives you a whole bar to get your hands ready to think about it and to be able to practice both of those. In my experience, people do left, left, right a lot and don't do right, right, left. And that then means that later down the line, you're not using that. And it's something that you're so fast this way around, you're always just going to do that. Yeah. And you miss out on a lot of different variations that you can do around the kit, right? And I'm one of those people. So I would strongly suggest to try and get it both ways. And technically you would think, well, actually we're right-handed, so you'd be stronger right, right, left. But it's just because of the repetition the other way around. So yeah, that's what I'd say on that one.
Is there a rule of thumb for, I didn't see the rest of that comment, for leading with fills? Can you read that comment?
Yeah, so rule of thumb for hands to lead a fill with. So it depends on your kit setup, doesn't it, right? But we could talk about the sticking rule here, the 16th note sticking rule.
Yeah, for sure.
So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is your right hand, and then the E's and the U's are your left. So whatever you put in that fill, if it is just 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with your right hand is always going to lead round the kit. I'm presuming you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, flip all of this and invert it. And then whatever you fill in the gaps, your right hand is always leading to go round the drum kit, right? So if you want to add in the E's, 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, hopefully that stops you from clipping your sticks and not knowing which way to lead.
Yeah, it is that, dead on.
Yeah.
I've got nothing else to add on that one.
I think it's just having examples to practice with. But again, if it's like, if you're going to do the 1 and 2 and if you took out the your right hand is just going dun, 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 and you're filling in those gaps with the left. Yes, you can break that, but that would be what I would start with to get comfortable with that for sure. Yeah. And there's actually a question before that they're saying they're having a problem with the right hand in time when playing ghost notes or accents on the snare.
Okay, in the right hand.
In the right hand. So
what would the context be for that?
Ghost
I'm
notes.
Curious.
On the snare. Yeah. Can we get a little bit more on that one? And if we get that, we'll come back to that one. But yes, because there feels like that question there, if they're left-handed.
Well, yeah, maybe it's just dynamic control in general. In which case it is a case of giving yourself like a 4, maybe 3 bar loop of single strokes on the snare drum and going from ghost notes for a bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and moderate normal hits for a bar, accents for a bar, and then bring it back down to normal and back to ghost notes and see how clean you can get that. That's what I'd say. And then if it gets kind of too easy within a huge time range, do it all within 1 bar. So take that really slow. Don't speed through an exercise like that. Give yourself the time to get the muscle memory developed, because essentially you want your brain to think, quiet, and it goes to that instant correct height for ghost notes, for example, right? But you can do it all within the bar. You can go ghost, ghost, normal, normal, accent, accent, normal, normal, for example. I'm also not very good at it because I haven't practiced it in ages. But that's what I do.
One extra on that actually as well. There's a further exercise that you can do here. But we have the accents exercise where I'm just going to push this down ever so slightly so you can see the pad. Is that you can, on all the beat 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to accent the rest of ghost notes. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and from what you've just said, what I think might be the problem that's happening, and I'm just making a guess here, is that we're going like this: 1 E and 2 E and 3 E, and you're accenting where you don't want to be accenting. So it's a case of making sure after that main accent, to then play a ghost note, you stay down, okay, after that, until you need to come up to play another accent. So 1, it's down, ready to play another ghost note, okay? So that is what I would say on that. And once you've got that, you can move to the E, the and, the ah. 1 E and 2, 3, 4, 1 E, 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 1 and 2 and 3, 1 E and etc. etc. Again, we can actually chuck that sheet in. That's quite a simple one.
Use a metronome or a foot with that, because when you get to if you've never done a
The
row
left
of
foot,
E's,
that's hard though, isn't it? Yeah.
No, still have to do it, because you've got to give yourself a frame of reference for where
You
that
need a
timing
metronome.
falls.
You
Yeah,
have to have a
for
metronome.
sure. Yeah.
A lot of what we're saying here, guys, apart from a couple of things, it's really important to use the metronome. That's just something that obviously you mention a lot in your videos, Emma.
Yes.
It's unfortunately that's what it is, you know. So that's what I would say from what we've kind of had there. Someone else has asked a bit of a different question actually. Airwaves English, and that they practice drums a lot, so they've been drumming for 30 years. They do 10 to 11 hours of practicing every week. Wow. So that's a lot, right? If you've been doing that for that long. But they find that they're very quiet and they struggle with playing in front of people. So this is the stage fright question, which is a whole different thing. And I'm interested to hear like how you would answer that, Emma, in terms of dealing with stage fright, because I don't know whether you've dealt with it yourself or not, but what do you do for students when this is the situation?
I think feeling as though you can be prepared for most situations. So having faith in your own ability to not, even if it's more important knowing you can recover when things go wrong. Yeah. Right? Like, I think having an attitude about it where it's like, if you cock up, you cock up, essentially. Yeah. It's okay. No one's going to die. It's fine. And letting go of that potentially sense of perfectionism, and instead maybe put that energy into just giving a good performance, because people mirror the people on stage. If people on stage are having a dreadful time, they're staring down at the thing, it's going to be, it doesn't matter how well it's played. Yes, okay, maybe in some jazz context it's slightly different, where people are like, oh, that's very interesting, I like that. And in most cases, your average punter who's watching something, if someone's having a great time while they're doing it, they're not going to notice the duff note, the thing they've dropped or whatever. And even if you go into the extreme of like, oh my god, I dropped a stick, make sure you have spares, first of all, in an accessible place. But like, the fact that you know how to recover from that makes you look more impressive, quite frankly. The more human you are, the more people will like you, I think. That's my rule of thumb on that. And especially if you've been playing that long, then...
I think the problem... I'm going to go with a psychological answer to this, on top of what Emma was saying, because absolutely what Emma said is right. I think the problem when you've been playing for so long and then you haven't done that is you feel a level of pressure to be at a certain level.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, I'm making some presumptions, but if you've been practicing for 30 years, and let's say you go and perform at like an open mic and jam with some people, and then you might be thinking about your friends and family might see this, or whatever that might be, and you feel the pressure that because you've been playing for that long that you should be of a certain level. And this is really common. I have the same thing. We had this chat when you was last over, Emma, with my girlfriend, who we did a jam. In fact, it was a couple of times ago when you was over, and we did a jam, and she felt overwhelmed to come and jam with all of us, even though she's very competent at what she could play what we were playing. She just felt like she needed to play something that was quote unquote better, more complicated, more fancy, to prove to everybody else in the room that she could play. But actually, if you looked around what everyone was doing, everyone's playing pretty simple stuff apart from the guy shredding on a solo, right? Everyone else is just playing a few notes and keeping it very, very simple. So I think that actually, don't think about your ability. I don't know how, if you've been playing for 30 years, you can probably play some stuff, right? You're probably quite confident in yourself when you're playing in your bedroom. Drop down to like where you're operating, and it's like you're using 30% CPU, no brain power at all, really basic songs, really easy, even though you could do so much more than that. keep it really simple, and just go and it's not about you showing what you can play on the drums and all the feels that you've learned and all these things over the years, but keep it really simple.
Well, that's the nature of being a drummer, right? It's like,
exactly. And
we don't play the most rinsy thing we can play. It's just about holding time at the end of the day, and that's kind of what I mean about the being able to recover and keep going. If you can do that, and you've got that foundational level of playing ability, which after 30 years you probably have, there is nothing to worry about. Like, also, play the worst case scenario in your head through. Really think about it. And then apply some logic to it. Because usually it's the emotional side that's going about it. And then logically you're like, actually, if this all goes tits up, I think I'll be all right. I will survive.
You're not going to die.
No.
Right? You're not going to die of awkwardness, of that you hit the wrong thing at the wrong time.
What will be more will be the regret of not doing it.
Yes.
Afterwards.
I was going to say exactly that.
Yes. You will never regret doing it.
No.
For sure.
That's it. What Emma said there to finish on, it is that you will 100% regret not doing that.
Yeah.
And the last thing that's, I think, a tangible help here, maybe try and find a friend. There are lots of websites like bandmix.com and other ones. There's even an app called Vampr, VAMPR, which is Tinder for musicians, and you can swipe on people's profiles, and there you can see, oh, this person plays rock music, oh, they're about my age, and I feel comfortable with jamming with someone that age. And actually what might be better is that you do that with one person that you get to know first in your area that you can play with, and then you can go and perform together, and it's a thing that you do together. Whether they've had experience or not, you'll probably feel a lot less awkward than just getting up drums at a random open mic is a huge thing, right? If you haven't done it a lot. So that's what I'd say on that one.
Sure, definitely. How are we doing on time?
Emma, I think you need to go and do your workout now, but we're actually going to do what Emma would normally do, her workout, which should be happening right now, is actually we're going to do it live on YouTube, so you guys can join in. If you've got a practice pad or a kit in front of you, go and grab your sticks and you can join in with Emma's workout. I'm going to leave and we'll let Emma play. And how long's the workout, Emma?
It ranges. Usually I do 2 workouts, one for beginner, one for intermediate, and it goes from 5 to 10 minutes usually. Yeah, so it's not too bad. So guys, go and get your sticks. Obviously, if you can't, make sure you save the video. You can come back to this. This will be available on the channel afterwards. We're going to leave this one up. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to leave. I'll leave you to it, and hopefully it all continues to stream once I hit leave. And then I'll catch you later, and thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right. You're stuck with me. I've got to very quickly change the setting on OBS, so we're going to have something ugly on the screen while I change that, because I'm not used to using OBS just yet. We can get rid of that. Hide that immediately. Stop asking me questions. Stop recording. Start recording. Okay. Here we go. Boop, 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 boop. Awesome. Okay. So I think we should carry on kind of building on what we were talking about in the previous live stream, which is a bit of coordination, hand-to-hand accents and some dynamics. So I'm going to play a pulse with my left foot, and we're going to play through 16th notes. I think I'll cover everyone today, so beginners and intermediates. So we'll do the ones and the ands first. And I'll backtrack and just explain a little bit better. So we're going to be playing right, left, 16th notes through on the snare drum. If you're intermediate, I suggest you put the left foot on the first right, so on the number 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And before I explain any more what's going on, we're just going to keep going and we're going to warm up a little bit if you're playing along at home. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. If you're getting a whole lot of pad noise, I apologise for 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to go kind of for medium volume. And this might be a good point for you to kind of assess, okay, is my volume level? Am my hands kind of floating levelly, equally above the snare drum? Is my aim good? Am I actually hitting the middle of the thing? 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And if you're a beginner, all you're going to want to do is just be able to play and count at the same time at this speed, because it is pretty quick actually. Might bring it down just a little bit. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And this is starting on the right, so the numbers on the right. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, right, 2 E and a, 4 E and a, right, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now, we want to be able to place accents wherever we like through this. So, for example, that kind of shebang. All that is 16th notes. I did do a little bit of a drag. That was cheating, I know. But it's just with accents through it, placed where I want them. And because I feel comfortable placing them through a 16th note wherever I like, because I've done this exercise, it's a lot easier to do. So, I'm going to start on all the downbeats. Well, on the numbers, let's say. So now we're going to play the same thing, but we're going to accent our numbers. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. The challenge here is making sure that that second right that happens on the and, a bit slower, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, making sure that the and is level with your left hand. We only want the accent on the 1 to be the thing that stands out. I apologise for any poppy noises we've got going on as well. Yeah, interesting. And a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Remember, if you're intermediate and you want to chuck a foot in, I highly suggest it. If not, if you're a beginner, just use me as the metronome for now. Counting out loud will help you. Just making sure my hi-hat isn't too squeaky. 3 E and a 4 E and a. So this one will probably feel the most familiar. But now we're going to, and just for the sake of beginners, we're going to do and next instead of E and a. More intermediate players, we'll get to the rest in just a moment. So now it's going to be right, left, right, left. And this is why the counting is important, because you could easily turn that round and just it'll feel like the 1 is still on the accent, but we don't want that. So we want 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. You may recognise this as just a train beat as well. E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, E and a, 4 E and a, E and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now we're going to do a bar of the on beat, or sorry, the number, and then a bar of ands. So it will go something like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, E and a, 4 E and a, 1, 2 E and 3 and 4. And one more time. 1 E and a. All these should be falling in the right. If you've got something falling in the left, not quite right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stop. So maybe just a smidge quicker. So we're gonna go 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and time. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stop. So again, the goal with that is to be able to count out loud and keep all your dynamics under control. If you can't keep your dynamics where you want them, nice and level when it's not an accent, then you have to play slower. I know I'm probably demonstrating a medium tempo for a broad range of people, so it won't fit for everybody, but chuck on a metronome for what works for you, essentially. Now, the fun stuff, E's and U's. I think what we'll do is we'll start with 1 again, and we'll go through, maybe a bit quicker this time. So, back to 1. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. You may notice that your E's and U's are always going to fall on the left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So you get 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. So the challenge now is you're going to have a foot coming down with that low right hand. A bit slower. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. And then we go to the and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4, and last of all, E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, E and a, E and a, 2 E and a, 3 a, 4 a, and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. The counting out loud is especially important for your E's and U's, because it's so easy for your brain to move to what feels easier and turn that accent into 1. You don't want that. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, E and a, 4 E and a, 1. So what you'd want to do is then do a bar of each. So you get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and again 2, 3, 4, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and. If you're struggling with this and you're on YouTube and you're watching this back, you could probably turn down the playback speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. Last time. 2, 3, 4, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. Now, next thing you can do, if you're more advanced, you can then move it around the kit so the 1s and the and accents will fall on the floor tom, E's and R's will fall on the high tom to get 1. Not sure why that's crackling like that. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E. Oh, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. That's just an example of what you can do with that. But I will leave that today with all you got to work on, because that exercise is really crucial to developing just hand to hand. Round the kit accents just makes a huge difference to your playing, and also getting used to how E's and R's feel is really useful, because when you start to do more complex rhythms and you stop doing just right left right left right left with accents through it, and you just end up with just rhythm, for example, you know you've got that flow underneath that's already kind of happening subconsciously, so you know where your rights and lefts should fall. Makes the reading process / playing process for complex rhythms just a bit easier. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. Thank you for sticking around if you've been watching the whole thing. We'll figure out in future live streams how I can see the chat in real time and actually respond to stuff a little bit easier. We're just ironing out the kinks at the moment. And also let us know what you'd like us to talk about and do in these live streams, because we want to make it as kind of beneficial to you guys as possible. So on that note, I hope you have a lovely day, week, month, life. And I will see you in the next video. You're now going to see some beautiful OBS. You're welcome.